I hear Shalom, Shalom. This is Brother Mayum coming at you from GMS Tampa Bay. First and foremost, I want to give all the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachah HaKodash. Double honor to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone. Much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and sincerity. Slakia. So, just want to do a quick video. Just a quick lesson to touch on this particular topic here with regards to these protests that are happening over there in Iran, and Donald Trump's comments, that he stated about, well, I'll just read this little part of this article I have. It says, President Donald Trump has warned Washington could go in to support protests in the Islamic Republic. And this is what these devils do. Okay, they'll go up in everyone in anybody's homes, all right, because they want to. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, and verse 4 says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Right, and the spirit of these devils, of the so-called white man Esau Edom, who is the devil the Bible speaks of, all right, they are proud as can be. Okay, and will make statements like what Donald Trump said by, of saying that he's going to go into Iran. Okay, that's a proud statement to say that you're just going to go into someone else's country because they have protests going on they got violent protests at that going on in their country. Well, what about the violent protests here in America? What about that? But see, they don't give a damn about what's going on here in America, because the Spirit of the Lord, the Heavenly Father Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, is on these devils to fulfill His will. That's why they don't really care about protests here in America, but they'll say they'll go in and invade a country off of protests turning violent. Verse 5, it says, "Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home." And that's this devil. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is the cancer of the earth. And he spreads his cancer. All right, he spreads himself. I may be mistaken, but I believe there's a scripture that says they spread themselves as a great green bay tree. I may be mistaking it with another understanding, but I'm pretty sure it's speaking on Esau spreading himself out, because that's what these devils do. They go out and spread their tentacles, okay, out to the far reaches of the earth, where they have to have a hand in everything that's going on the earth, and that's wicked, man. All right, and this is a part of why when the righteous are in authority, all right, as the scriptures talk about in the book of Proverbs, when the righteous are in authority, the people are going to rejoice. Why? Because even though the other nations are going to have their part in captivity, they're also going to have their own lands. They're going to be able to go back to their lands. They're just going to be tributaries. Okay? They're going to have to pay their taxes, their tithes. But they're going to have their own lands. And this world, all right, when the wicked is in authority, the people mourn. And look at what's happening all over the earth. Everyone is mourning, and where everyone is mourning, what is the common denominator between all these different places that are protesting and all these different chaotic events that you see taking place in these other nations? What is the common denominator? Well, that common denominator is the so-called white man is there. That's what links all these different protests, all these different uproars of the people together, is that the so-called white man Esau Edom is in these countries stirring shit up. So it says, "Neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." And see, he's trying to get up into Iran. Ultimately, what's going to end up happening over there in the Middle East is going to be what's known as in the scriptures as the War of Armageddon. Okay, over in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which the Valley of Jehoshaphat, when you break that word down, all right, Jehoshaphat being two words put together, Yahweh Shaphat, okay, which Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, and Shaphat meaning to judge. So the land of the Lord that the Lord is going to judge the armies of the earth is going to be over there in the Middle East. And as tensions continue to rise, we're drawing closer and closer to that day of decision. Okay? As it talks about in the book of Joel, chapter 3. Let's just get that real quick. Alright, Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the nations, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And you have Iran countering America's talk, you know, of invading Iran if protests get nasty with, well, we'll bomb your military bases. And they got missiles. They just recently came out with new and improved, you know, hyper. You know, I don't think they were hypersonic. I'm pretty sure they were nuclear weapons, though. Nuclear capable missiles. Okay, where they were able to reach thousands of miles and be precise. Something that the West has tooted that Iran doesn't have the capability. Well, they do now. If you want, for argument's sake, they do now. They may not have before, but now they do. And guess what? Iran is guarded by Russia. Okay, and you already know that Russia has shared its military equipment with Iran. Okay, to a certain extent. And not only that, but it's also its missile defense systems. Okay, but this is what the Lord is doing over there in the Middle East. That's why He's stirring up strife once again with Iran, with Israel, and America. Okay, Israel, that state of Israel right now is known as the least of the flock in the scriptures. Okay, those small hats. And what the least of the flock is going to do is going to draw these nations into war out there in the Middle East. Okay, it says verse 10, Joel 3 and 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And you have these nations that were, you know, so-called third world countries like Iran, Afghanistan, you know, Iran, Iraq, you know, Pakistan, you know, so on and so forth, where the majority of their population were farmers, cattle. I don't know the correct terminology for people who own cattle, but you know, sheep herders and you know, goat herders and so on and so forth, where their main use for the instruments they had were for farming. But now the scriptures are saying that they're turning these instruments of tilling the earth to weapons of war, which is symbolic or metaphor for these nations preparing for war, man. And that's why you now see a lot of these nations over there, especially in the Middle East, with nuclear capabilities. Pakistan, Iran, okay, just to name a few. Israel has them as well. Okay. These nations have now been made ready to the battle. Okay, it says 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. And see, the Lord is putting His Spirit into these nations again, as it talks about in Revelation chapter 17. When it comes to hating the whore, the Lord is putting that Spirit in these the NATO EU nations to agree with the whore, to fulfill the prophecies that the Lord spoke of from the beginning. Well, it's the same thing with these other nations as well. The Lord is using these nations and putting the Spirit in these nations to fulfill His will, so that His words return not unto Him void. It says, verse 12, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. You see, so the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of the Lord's judgment, This is where the Lord is going to sit to judge all the heathen. And the way they're going to be judged is through World War III. And World War III is going to kick off over there in the Middle East. Now, we have all these different rumors of wars happening all over the earth. You have all this nonsense that's happening out there in Venezuela. You know, talks of China invading Taiwan. And that's been happening for years. You got skirmishes between Pakistan and India. Cambodia and I believe even Pakistan too are at each other's throats. You got all types of different skirmishes. Okay, Ukraine and Russia. You got Israel with Iran. All right, with the Palestinians. You got a lot of rumors of wars. But the war to end all wars is getting ready to be launched on the earth. We're already in those beginning stages. So this is what we see taking place, and talks like this where Iran threatens to target American bases if U.S. launches intervention into their protests. That's a talk of war. You striking a military base of another nation, that's an act of war. But again, so is invading a nation, a nation's country, especially one that's of an enemy nation. Okay, they're not. Iran and America aren't allies. So why does America want to go in to help out an enemy? It's because the Lord is working with these devils for a particular purpose, man. Scriptures talk about a time for peace and a time for war. Well, we're now in a time of peace. That's why the scriptures tell us that when they shall say peace and safety, then come a sudden destruction. Because Ezekiel chapter 7 also says they shall seek peace and not find it. There is no peace here on earth. Yahushua himself said, think not that I am come to bring peace on earth. I am not come to bring peace, but a sword. So even the Messiah, who the world literally calls Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahushua, even he said that peace isn't going to be here on the earth. Because it's not a time for peace. The time of peace is going to come, but first, that time of war has to come first. And we see this playing out. Okay, let me read a little bit of this article. It says, Tehran will target U.S. forces in the Middle East if Washington tries to intervene in Iran's handling of ongoing mass protests. The country's parliamentary speaker, Mohammed Ghalibaf, has warned. His words came after U.S. President Donald Trump stated that America was locked and loaded and could go in at any moment. And that's a devil for you, man. That's a proud devil. To come out in a global stage and tell the world that, hey, we're locked and loaded, we're ready to go. Just go ahead and shoot. Let some of these people die. Give us a reason. Which we already know how Esau works. He comes out and makes these statements of go ahead, go ahead and have people die, and we're going to intervene. And then Esau himself will go ahead and send agent provocateurs into these nations to do the very same thing that he said not to do, so that he gives himself a reason to go in and so-called bring about peace, bring about an order to the chaos, which is these devils' slogan, order out of chaos. Okay? And this is one thing that the scriptures talk about. Salakia. Got something stuck in the back of my throat. That in Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 12, it tells us to never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so shall his wickedness. And when you read it in that down on the rest of that chapter, it talks about that when bad times come upon you, that you're gonna find him there first. You're gonna find the wicked one there. He's gonna be there first, acting like, oh shit, this has happened to you, I'm here to help. But in all actuality, he was the one that created the trouble, so that he can have the reason to come in and infiltrate. And that's why the scriptures tell him, set him not beside thee, let he overtake thee. And that's what he does. He'll play the friendly, like he'll play like he's your best friend. Okay, like he's coming to help you out, and you'll be none the wiser. You put him at next to you as an ally. Oh well, he's coming to help me. Let me set him up next to me. And then out of nowhere, your ass is locked up. Your ass is cast into a dungeon, never to see the light of day again. And now he's running or he's running your nation through a puppet leader, and your ass is through. Now they talking about you got weapons, you had mass chemical weapons. Okay, they've turned the nation against you. Now your people want you dead. They come out with these photos that were photoshopped, making you look like a weirdo. All types of shit these devils will do. But that's exactly what happens when you think this devil's coming to help you, man. And that's what this devil always portrays himself as doing is, I'm coming to help these people. When in all actuality, he was the one that caused the issues. He's the one that sent in his agent provocateurs to stir shit up so that he would have his reason, so he'd be justified and coming and judging, the people of that country, which is what he's trying to do here in Iran. But they ain't gonna play. They ain't gonna play with that shit. They ain't gonna play with it. Okay, it says large-scale demonstrations begin in the Islamic Republic in late December, when merchants in Tehran went on strike after the national currency, the rial, hit a record low. The protests quickly spread and see, this is what Esau does. He also put sanctions on nations to, look what he did to Venezuela years ago, man, where he sanctioned Maduro, okay, and the people of Venezuela were the ones that suffered. But now he calling himself over there in Venezuela trying to fix the problems that Venezuela got. Well, you were the ones who fucking caused these issues. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had a hand in the economic woes of Iran right now. That's what I think. I speak as a man, but hey, he's done it. He's done it time and time again, man. It says the protests quickly spread to other cities and turned political and violent. The disrespectful president of America should know that all American centers and forces across the entire region will be legitimate targets for us in response to any potential adventurism. Galifbaf said in a statement on X on Friday, commenting on Trump's post on Truth Social earlier that day. It says the protests are the most intense since 2022, when Masha Amini, a 22-year-old accused of improperly wearing her hijab, died in police custody. It says the incident triggered weeks of violent unrest, resulting in more than 200 deaths across the country and thousands of arrests. Video circulated online suggests that the crowds have attacked government buildings and facilities linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Casualties were also reported among both the protesters and the security forces. Trump warned that Washington could intervene if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters. Who the hell who are you to tell another nation what's peaceful and not peaceful in their own country? Nobody else around the earth will dare tell America what they consider peaceful and what they consider not peaceful. America dictates what they consider peaceful and not peaceful here on their own soil, right? You can throw a dandelion at someone's face and they'll call you violent here in America. Okay? But at the same time, America will sit here and justify people getting killed at the hand of police because of someone being, high on crack. But here it is in another nation. You got people who are violently protesting against the government, and it's an evil thing for the government to retaliate and defend itself. Come on, man. This is the hypocrisy of these devils. Goes on to say, Trump warned that Washington could intervene. Oh, I read that part. It says, Galibaf alleged that Israeli agents have sought to transform legitimate protests into violent urban battles, adding that those attempts were thwarted. So see, Iran's already onto the bullshit. They're like, yo, Israel's got agents out here trying to stir shit up. And we done caught them niggas, and we done ended that shit off. We cut them off. And hey, you already know America's doing the exact same thing. They got the exact same thing going on. Sending agents out there to try to stir shit up so they have a reason. But the Lord is going to have it happen his own way, man. So we'll see, you know. But yeah, man, just wanted to bring that out, you know, through the Spirit. You know, the Lord is moving, you know, and this year, 2026, is already off to a good start, you know. So, you know, Lord's will, this was edifying. I want to give all the praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash. Double honor to the elders, apostles, a great millstone, and much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing on this truth and its truth and sincerity. With that, I say shalom.